The courtroom hummed with a strange energy, not the usual weight of a trial but a smug, electric buzz. Three corrupt police officers, Derek Larson, Paul Mitchell, and Ethan Hayes, lounged in their chairs, grinning as the judge tapped his gavel. "Case dismissed," he announced. Cheers erupted from their side of the room. Derek clapped Paul on the shoulder. "Another day, another win," he said, his voice dripping with arrogance. Paul chuckled. "They really thought they could pin us down." Ethan shook his head, laughing. "Man, I love this job." For months, the trio had been under scrutiny for racial profiling, excessive force, and planting evidence on innocent black citizens. But, as always, their connections in high places worked like a charm. Witnesses vanished, crucial footage disappeared, and the case crumbled before it could reach a fair verdict. They stood to leave, already planning their victory drinks. Then the courtroom doors swung open. A sharply dressed black man strode in, his presence commanding every eye. Brown eyes sharp as steel, a neatly trimmed beard, and a quiet confidence that silenced the room. The judge cleared his throat. "Before we adjourn, I have an announcement. As of today, the city has appointed a new chief of police. Please welcome Chief Nathan Cole." Derek, Paul, and Ethan froze, their smug grins evaporating. Nathan Cole, the same man they'd once falsely arrested, mocked, and humiliated, was now their boss. Nathan stepped forward, his voice steady. "Gentlemen, I look forward to working with you." Derek's throat tightened. Paul shifted in his seat. Ethan's fists clenched. The party was over. The next morning, the precinct felt like a different world. Derek, Paul, and Ethan slunk in, their usual swagger replaced by dread. Word of Nathan's appointment had spread like wildfire, and the air crackled with tension. Officers stood at attention as Nathan, in full uniform, badge gleaming under the fluorescent lights, addressed the room from the front. His hands were clasped behind his back, his posture radiating authority. "Larson, Mitchell, Hayes," he called. The three flinched, then shuffled forward, their bravado gone. Paul forced a smile. "Chief Cole, great to have you here." Nathan tilted his head slightly. "Is it?" Derek cleared his throat. "Absolutely. We're ready to serve under your leadership." Nathan said nothing. Instead, he placed a thick folder on the table before them. Inside were their files, every complaint, every accusation, every corrupt act they'd buried over the years. Evidence long suppressed now stared back at them. Ethan's hands grew clammy. "Chief, listen," Nathan cut him off, his voice like a blade. "Save it. You've abused your power for too long." Paul wiped sweat from his brow. "Chief, we were just following," Nathan's eyes darkened. "You weren't following the law. You were following corruption, greed, and racism. But today that ends." The other officers watched in silence, some with quiet satisfaction, others with shock. Nathan folded his arms. "Effective immediately, you're all suspended pending an internal investigation." Derek's jaw dropped. "Suspended?" Nathan nodded. "This department will no longer shield criminals in uniform. You three? You're done." The words landed like a sledgehammer, shattering the system they'd manipulated for years. 2 weeks later, the city was alive with talk. Chief Nathan Cole wasn't just making promise, she was dismantling the rotten core of the department. The internal investigation uncovered everything. Reports of excessive force, false arrests, illegal searches, even money siphoned from evidence lockers. Witnesses, once too scared to speak, found their courage. The city had reached its breaking point. Derek, Paul, and Ethan were arrested and hauled into the same courtroom where they'd once celebrated. No high fives, no smirks, no escape. The prosecutor stood tall, reading the charges with precision. "Officer Larson, Officer Mitchell, Officer Hayes, you are charged with misconduct, abuse of power, falsifying evidence, and multiple counts of racial discrimination." The courtroom was packed. Journalists scribbled, protesters filled the back rows, and the judge, no longer in their pocket, glared sternly. "How do you plead?" Derek swallowed hard. "Not guilty." Paul's hands shook. "This is a setup." The prosecutor didn't flinch. "We have video footage, sworn statements, and forensic evidence. The truth is undeniable." The jury deliberated for just an hour. When they returned, the foreman's voice rang clear. "Guilty." The courtroom exploded with cheers. Strangers hugged, some cried, and the air felt lighter, like justice had finally taken root. As the officers were handcuffed and led away, Paul turned to Nathan. "You set us up." Nathan's lips curved into a faint smirk. "No, you set yourselves up. I just let the truth out." Derek sneered. "Enjoy it while it lasts. We'll be back." Nathan's gaze was unflinching. "No, you won't." The door slammed shut behind them, closing the chapter on their reign of corruption. Chief Nathan Cole stood at the precinct's entrance the next day, watching the city move forward. He'd come from the same streets these officers had targeted, faced their cruelty firsthand, and now he held the power to rebuild. The department was already changing: new training, stricter oversight, and a zero-tolerance policy for misconduct. Officers who'd once looked the other way now nodded to him with respect. The community, long betrayed, began to trust again. Nathan knew the road ahead was long, but for the first time in years, it felt like the right one. In the courtroom, the echoes of justice lingered, a reminder that even the most untouchable could fall when the truth found its voice.